As we walked away from the courtroom that day, I felt very empty. I felt like we had lost our rights as parents for Christy and Bobby. I felt like a victim. I felt like the system was not working for us. We felt so helpless.
Both the Baskins and the Maples were ordered to undergo complete psychological examinations while a 30-day investigation into the charges was conducted. During this time, the Maples' custody of Bobby and Christy was extended. The Baskins retained custody of Michael.
We said, okay, if we're guilty of this, then why are you letting Michael stay with us? Obviously nobody was concerned about Michael. There's so many inconsistencies with this case, and we're the whole time saying, please, just at least consider our side of the story, and no one would. Our rights, our opinions, our fears were never taken seriously by this court system.
Hi. Are you Bobby?
Yes.
Bobby, would you like to have a seat for me, please? My name's Anita, and I work for the police department.
As part of the ongoing investigation, Murfreesboro Police Detective Anita Flagg was asked to help determine if Bobby's stories about being sexually abused by his parents were true.
Would you like to talk to me?
Well, yes.
Okay.
He confirmed what the Maples said, but in such a way that it seemed he had been coached.
First grade? I talked to Bobby after I talked to the Maples, so it was during further interviews that I did with him, things changed and became more bizarre, sounding like he had been coached. He had been led to say things that were not necessarily coming from the mouth of a little boy. At the conclusion of my involvement with the investigation, I decided that charges weren't warranted, that the investigation need not be taken any further on my part, and that there was no evidence to substantiate any charges at all.
Detective Flagg and her colleagues recommended that Christy and Bobby be returned to their parents, but a court order was required to make this possible. Unfortunately, Christmas was now approaching and the court dockets were full. Once again, Debbie and Mark were only allowed intermittent visits with their children. Eventually, a final hearing on the case was scheduled for March 29th, almost a full year after the initial proceedings began. By now, there was little doubt that the hearing would return the children to their parents. 19 days before the hearing, court guardian Karen Hornsby telephoned the Maples to confirm a scheduled visitation for the children with their parents. After she failed to reach the Maples several times, Karen became suspicious and decided to visit the house.
I went over to the Maples house to remind them that the visitation was to take place the next day, and at that point, I saw the for sale sign in the yard.
Hello, is anybody home?
When I found the children were gone, my first reaction was disbelief. I didn't want to believe that they had taken them. I have to take part of the blame. I didn't believe the Baskins when they told me that they thought the Maples were capable of taking the children. But you have to realize I was being told fantastic things by both sides, and I just did not believe that they would do something like that.
We have 2 children missing and have no idea where they are, with 2 grandparents who have taken them, who I can't predict what their next move have been. They've been so bizarre so far. Anybody who is crazy enough to do this to her own daughter is crazy enough to do almost anything.
You get up every morning and you think that perhaps this is going to be the day that our FBI agent will call or somebody will call and say, we found the kids. And then it doesn't happen. And you have a little boy who will go to bed at night and say, please don't let Nanny and Stomp come steal me too. And I don't have a family anymore. And my and I don't know if they're alive or if they're dead. They've threatened to kill the kids before they restore them. So it's fear. It's constant fear. So you try most of your time to, sometimes when people ask you how many children you have, I want to say, Michael. So I don't have to even deal with it. But it's always there. The fact that my parents have stolen my children, it wasn't good enough just to kidnap them. They had to destroy any love the children had for me by making them think I was some kind of a monster.
I'd like to add that just an appeal to the audience. Please, if you see anyone who even resembles these people, to contact the authorities, because we absolutely have no hope of finding them unless someone comes forward. There are no leads. Our only chance is this program at this point.
Marvin Maple is 53 years old. He is 6 feet 1 inches tall and weighs 185 pounds. He has blue eyes, dark graying hair, and wears glasses. Sandra Maple is 52 years old. She is 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighs 130 pounds. Sandra has blue eyes and brown hair. Christy Baskin is 9 years old. She is 4 feet 5 inches tall and weighs about 70 pounds. Christy has blue eyes and sandy-colored hair. Bobby Baskin is 8 years old. He is 4 feet 3 inches tall and weighs about 80 pounds. Bobby has blue eyes and brown hair. These home movies were taken 2 months before the children were kidnapped by their grandparents. On March 13, 1989, formal kidnapping charges were filed against the Maples. And on March 29th, the court order finally granted custody of the children to Debbie and Mark, 6 weeks after the children disappeared. Debbie and Mark have been cleared of all charges, including child molesting and abandonment. Police have received letters from the Maples postmarked in Boston and believe they may have crossed the border into Canada. It is possible they are still traveling together, or Sandra and Marvin may have split up, each taking a child. If you have any information about these 4 people, please contact the FBI, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Department in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, or call our toll-free number, 1-800-876-53